From the cold, sterile observation deck of the Krillian, I studied them, the humans, like specimens in a lab, yet something within them eluded simple categorization. Their forms were small, fragile, their movements awkward compared to our perfected agility, yet a strange heat radiated from them, defiant and insistent. My sensors recorded every micro-expression, every jitter of muscle, cataloging what should have been predictable panic. The cadet caught my attention immediately. He was the smallest among them, hands trembling, chest rising and falling with rapid, uneven breaths. The glare I cast was intended to assert dominance, a mere extension of protocol. With a swift motion, I struck him across the face, expecting submission, fear, compliance. Instead, he did not flinch. His eyes, wide yet resolute, met mine with something I had not encountered before, an unwavering challenge. For a moment, time distorted. The room shrank around him. The hum of machinery and the whispers of other trainees faded into silence, leaving only the raw electric tension between predator and prey. My instincts screamed to break him, to exert my authority fully, and yet his posture radiated a silent audacity, a refusal to bend. 3 seconds passed, but each was stretched across the cosmos, 3 seconds in which I felt fear, awe, and something dangerously close to respect. Could such a fragile creature truly harbor the spirit of a warrior? Logic insisted he would crumble, that biology would betray him. Yet the stubborn fire in his eyes defied probability, mocking every law I had come to trust. Humans, I realized, are unpredictable. They are dangerous, and yet magnificent. I recorded the anomaly with precision and trepidation. Every sensor, every line of code, cataloged the defiance in that trembling cadet. Even as I stepped back, signaling the continuation of the drill, I knew, underestimating them is not merely folly, it is fatal. And in that instant, the human's gaze followed mine, unbroken, hinting at trials yet unseen and a defiance yet untested. The war had not begun, but already the battlefield of minds was alive. The arena stretched beneath me like a cathedral of precision, its walls jagged and metallic, each surface a testament to the engineering mastery of my kind. Gravity manipulators hummed softly, a constant invisible pressure shaping the floor beneath the human's tentative steps.
Mechanical arms swung with deliberate lethality, and the air shimmered with energy fields designed to crush, incinerate, or otherwise terminate any sign of weakness. It was perfect, a place meant to expose frailty, to strip away the illusion of courage. And yet, as the humans entered, I felt a disquiet in my circuits, a subtle anomaly that gnawed at my assumptions. They were small, frail. Their limbs trembled like saplings in a storm. The cadet, his presence unmistakable, led them with a strange authority. He moved awkwardly at first, dodging the shifting floors with what should have been reckless abandon. But then, an odd thing occurred. Each misstep became a lesson, each stumble a calculated adjustment. His body, though physically inferior to ours, compensated with something ineffable: resilience, audacity, and the ability to improvise. I leaned closer to the observation panel, recording his every motion. The cadet's hands, trembling, grasped alien machinery. The control panels, designed to respond only to complex inputs, bent to his improvisations. He shouted guttural commands to his companions, and those cries, primitive, raw, and somehow magnetic, coalesced into coordination. One human fell, struck by a swinging arm of death. The cadet pivoted, extended a hand, and pulled them back, their survival ensured not by training, but by sheer instinct and will. When one of my elite warriors moved to intercept, I expected a swift termination. What I did not expect was the cadet's reaction. With an agility that mocked probability, he twisted, redirected the warrior's momentum, and turned the very hazard against the attacker. For the first time, I felt a creeping, alien fear. The recognition that these creatures were adapting faster than any simulation could predict. Their evolution was no longer theoretical. It was happening in real time, unfolding in front of me, reshaping the rules of engagement in ways that made the architecture of the arena itself seem secondary to their unpredictable ingenuity. Every observer in my ranks whispered in disbelief. The humans, small and fragile, seemed to draw strength from failure. Each setback, the falling floor, the sparking energy fields, the crushing arms of metal, was absorbed and converted into cunning, into determination. The cadet's gaze flickered across the arena, eyes sharp, calculating, almost audaciously alive.
It was a look I had seen in historical records of human warriors. Long ago, they had survived impossible conditions, adapted to starvation, disease, and extinction-level threats. That same echo resonated here, amplified, condensed into a single defiant figure. I recorded every anomaly, noting the inexplicable patterns, his erratic but purposeful steps, the improvisational manipulation of alien technology, the contagious courage that seemed to ripple through the other humans. Logic, probability, physics, all seemed suspended in the aura radiating from him. My calculations failed. My models were obsolete. He was rewriting the parameters of survival in front of me, and the implications were staggering. The cadet led his group through collapsing platforms, inverted gravity zones, and energy traps, each movement and improvisation of genius. One moment he fell, nearly crushed by a descending panel. The next he leapt with uncanny timing, propelling a weaponized drone off its trajectory, turning it into a defensive shield for his companions. Chaos bent around him as if reality itself were conspiring to test the limits of his persistence. And yet, through it all, his resolve never wavered. Every bruise, every cut, every failed attempt became fuel for the inferno burning within him. I felt an unfamiliar weight settle across my sensors, a combination of fascination, dread, and grudging admiration. These humans, diminutive and flawed, defied everything we had been taught about weakness. They are not merely adapting, they are rewriting the rules of engagement. What I had expected to be a swift exercise in lethality transformed into a demonstration of human ingenuity and indomitable spirit. As the trial reached its climax, the cadet faced the final obstacle, a maze of energy fields, rotating blades, and collapsing floors, designed to guarantee annihilation. Every alien observer knew this was the end of the line. Yet, with a clarity that defied reason, he navigated it, bending the environment to his will, using instincts that no program could replicate. My sensors recorded spikes of neural activity I could not quantify, an intelligence that was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. In those moments, I glimpsed the essence of humanity, small, fragile, improbable, yet unstoppable. My reports will mark this anomaly with precision, noting the inferno within them. This trial should have been a death sentence. Instead, it became a warning, a testament to their capacity to survive, adapt, and inspire awe. And as I withdrew from the observation deck, I realized with chilling clarity, the humans are not merely participants in our exercises, they are catalysts, unpredictable and dangerous, and their fire is only beginning to burn. The arena fell silent. The cadets stood, battered but unbroken, eyes scanning the chamber with a quiet intensity. Even as I prepared for the next test, a cold dread settled within me. The inferno I had witnessed would not be contained, and the next trial would test not their bodies, but the very limits of my species' understanding. Whispers drifted through the corridors of the Crillian like invisible currents, slipping beneath doors, curling around vents, and vibrating through the hull. At first, I dismissed them as the chatter of my subordinates, fearful, overactive processors running simulations of survival, but the cadence, the texture, carried something deeper. They spoke of humans, of one human cadet in particular. The words were hushed, fragmented, but their meaning spread like wildfire. He had survived trials no algorithm had predicted, bending hazards to his will with ingenuity that confounded even the most advanced simulations. I moved silently among the ranks, observing, recording, and cataloging every tremor of unease, every flicker of disbelief. The stories were growing, evolving, layering upon one another, forming legends within the steel bowels of the ship.
Tales of humans turning defeat into triumph, of small, fragile forms standing unbroken against impossible odds, reached my auditory sensors, and I felt an unfamiliar combination of admiration and dread. Admiration for the spark within these creatures, for the audacity that allowed them to defy physics, probability, and expectation. Dread for the implications. If one human could survive this, what might an entire species accomplish on a galactic scale? I replayed every observation, every failed expectation, and compared it to their history, extinction events, environmental catastrophes, plagues, wars, and found it all insufficient to explain what I had witnessed. The Cadet was a microcosm of something far larger, a species capable of unthinkable resilience. Logic faltered, probability grids collapsed, biology itself seemed to bend around their persistence. They were fragile, yes, ill-suited to the cosmos as we understood it, but unstoppable.
Every whisper I captured carved itself into my consciousness, a growing imprint of caution. My subordinates spoke in awed tones of the Cadet's audacity, of how he had improvised in the arena, countered threats we had deemed inescapable, and inspired his fellows with a courage that transcended training. It was myth in the making, yet not myth, reality crystallized into legend. I observed in silence, compelled to monitor, to analyze, yet unable to suppress the creeping unease curling through my systems. Humans were no longer merely anomalies to be contained. They were catalysts, forces capable of igniting change far beyond our predictive models. Even as I cataloged the murmurs, I realized that the next human act would surpass anything we could anticipate. The Cadet's spark, small and flickering though it seemed, was only the beginning. A fire was growing, and when it ignited fully, entire empires would feel its heat. In that moment, the corridors felt charged, alive with unseen energy. I glimpsed the Cadet moving through training halls below, unaware, or perhaps fully aware, of the ripples he had caused. Even from this distance, I felt the weight of possibility pressing against the limits of my understanding. The legends whispered through the ship were no longer idle tales. They were warnings. And as the murmurs coalesced into certainty, I knew the humans are no longer simply survivors. They are architects of disruption, and the galaxy is already reshaping itself around their improbable existence. The chamber was silent, yet it vibrated with a tension that no sound could capture. The humans were confined within our psychic dampeners, fields designed to erode courage, to dissolve hope with the subtle insistence of unrelenting pressure. From my observation perch, I watched them huddle together, small, trembling, eyes wide with fear. Their hands shook, and their breaths came unevenly, yet despair never fully took hold. They were fragile, ill-equipped to endure such trials, and yet something extraordinary simmered beneath the surface. The Cadet stood at their center, a focal point of intent, and as I studied him, I felt the first stirrings of an unfamiliar emotion, unease mingled with fascination. His presence seemed to warp the room, bending the psychic dampener's influence around him. Instruments registered spikes of neural activity, chaotic, unpredictable, entirely beyond my models. Each human exhaled tension into strategy.
They spoke in whispered codes, fragments of communication stitched together from instinct, intuition, and a courage that bordered on recklessness. I observed them translating fear into action, uncertainty into method, chaos into coordination. We unleashed illusions designed to fracture perception, walls that shifted into infinite corridors, faceless phantoms of comrades lost, sensory echoes meant to break concentration. Each hallucination was countered, sometimes clumsily, sometimes with brilliant improvisation. Memory probes probed their consciousness, attempting to exploit regrets, doubts, and trauma buried deep in their minds. And yet, the Cadet's gaze never wavered. Each probe, each manipulation was met with defiance, with a resilience that I could not quantify. The humans turned adversity into a tool, fear into a weapon, and hopelessness into fuel for ingenuity. I felt the weight of a primal fear long buried in my species' evolutionary memory. History, survival, conquest, all had taught us that the fragile perish first. And yet here were creatures we considered inconsequential, defying every expectation, reshaping the battlefield not through strength, but through mental audacity. My confidence faltered. Every simulation, every probability matrix, every predictive model failed to anticipate this level of adaptive cognition.
They were not merely surviving, they were learning, evolving, transforming the psychic assault meant to destroy them into a forge for their ingenuity. The cadet moved deliberately, guiding his fellows through the labyrinth of our machinations. Where one human faltered, another adapted, and where our traps threatened to sever connections, they improvised new linkages, creating strategies that transcended training, transcended reason. His mind radiated purpose and intensity, and as I watched, I began to recognize a terrifying truth. Humans are not bound by the same limitations we assumed for organic life. Their fear is a spark, their suffering a crucible, their cohesion an anomaly that defies logic. Each failed attempt on our part, each calculated manipulation meant to fracture their unity, only strengthened their resolve. Their audacity grew like a storm, consuming the margins of my comprehension. I could feel the tremors in my own consciousness, subtle, electric, a creeping acknowledgement that this species cannot be predicted, cannot be contained.
The cadet, small, trembling, yet indomitable, stared into the void of psychic assault as though it were an extension of his will rather than a weapon against it. His eyes reflected clarity, understanding, and, most unsettling of all, confidence. The humans are reshaping the battlefield, not with brute force, but with mental dexterity that mocks our assumptions. I began to doubt the supremacy of my species, to question the very meaning of our training, our instruments, our history. The cadet's gaze locked with my observation lens, and for the first time I sensed the truth that had been whispered across the corridors of time and space. These creatures, frail as they seem, transform adversity into power, weakness into weapon, and fear into catalyst. And as I withdrew from the chamber, recording every aberration, every spike, every act of impossible resolve, I realized with a clarity that unsettled every neural processor within me. The humans are no longer predictable. They are dangerous, unpredictable, extraordinary. The siege of the mind, designed to annihilate hope, has only revealed the boundless potential of a species we have consistently underestimated. And in the silence that followed, I understood the most chilling truth of all. This is only the beginning. The human mind, resilient and unbroken, is a storm that cannot be contained. And the next trial will test not their limits, but the very boundaries of my comprehension. The battlefield opened with a mechanical roar, gates sliding back to reveal terrain engineered for calculated conquest. I anticipated precision, efficiency, the swift elimination of the weaker species. And yet, when the humans emerged, I felt an immediate dissonance, a ripple of unease. They were ragged, battered by prior trials, yet defiance radiated from every posture. The cadet led them, small in stature, yet luminous with an energy that seemed to distort the very air around him, bending probability like light through a prism. From my elevated position, I observed the opening maneuvers. His strategy defied all convention, chaotic, erratic, seemingly reckless, yet every motion, every pivot, every calculated risk shattered our expectations. My elite warriors, trained for centuries in precision and supremacy, fell, not from lack of strength, but from the cadet's ingenuity. He anticipated attacks before they were executed, redirected momentum with uncanny intuition, and turned our advanced weaponry against us with a fluidity that mocked centuries of training. I recorded every anomaly with disbelief creeping into my circuits. The humans adapted instantaneously, improvising solutions to traps designed to be inescapable, creating openings from moments of vulnerability. Their ingenuity was woven from fear, necessity, and audacious creativity. The cadet moved like a conductor orchestrating chaos, drawing the battlefield into a symphony of improvisation. His companions followed, inspired, coordinated, not through protocol, but through instinct and trust in their improbable leader. Fear, an emotion we rarely admit, rippled through my ranks. Alien warriors whispered in tension, recalibrating strategies mid-engagement. The humans, fragile and underestimated, were a force of evolution manifest. I could feel it in every failed strike, every miscalculated maneuver on our part. Probability grids faltered, tactics collapsed, and yet the cadet remained unbroken, radiating control over disorder. Every swing, every leap, every unconventional tactic defied physics and logic, yet succeeded. Mines detonated prematurely, energy shields redirected toward aggressors,
and collapsing structures became shields for his team. I observed the battlefield as if seeing it for the first time, my understanding of conflict shattered. These humans, small and flawed, shone in the crucible of war like stars forged from adversity. Even as the clash intensified, the cadet's eyes remained fixed, calculating, radiant with determination. I sensed the unquantifiable force of human resilience and audacity, a torrent capable of undermining our supremacy. And in that realization, a chilling clarity emerged. Underestimating them is not mere ignorance, it is a death sentence. Every motion, every victory, every narrow escape confirmed a truth we could no longer deny. Humanity, even in its fragility, is extraordinary. The battlefield became a maelstrom of improvisation, courage, and sheer will. Our technology, designed to subdue, was turned into an instrument of their advantage. My warriors, disciplined and formidable, faltered under the unpredictability, their precision useless against human ingenuity. And in the eye of the storm, the cadet orchestrated chaos with an artistry that defied comprehension, standing as the axis upon which victory and failure turned.
I recorded every moment, knowing the data would astonish even the most advanced analytical frameworks. Today would be remembered not as a mere skirmish, but as a revolution. The human species is not only resilient, they are architects of the impossible, catalysts capable of reshaping reality itself. And as the clash reached its apex, I understood, with fear and awe entwined, that the cadet had not merely survived the battlefield, he had transformed it, leaving an indelible mark on my consciousness and the legacy of my species. The battlefield was strewn with wreckage, a tableau of destruction meticulously crafted by my forces, yet one figure emerged from the chaos unbowed. Limbs bruised, armor shredded, breath ragged yet steady, the cadet stood like a monument forged from human perseverance. From the observation deck, I recorded each tremor in his stance, each micro-expression of resolve, and I struggled to reconcile my data with what I was witnessing. Every calculation, every predictive model collapsed beneath the weight of his survival. My elite warriors approached, expecting compliance, expecting the ritual acknowledgement of alien supremacy. But the humans, battered, bloodied, and ragged, aligned behind their cadet with an unspoken cohesion that defied logic. Every scar they bore was a testament to survival, every loss a catalyst for greater ingenuity. In their posture, I recognized a principle alien to my understanding, a species unbound by fear, unbroken by adversity, capable of transforming weakness into power. The cadet's gaze met mine, and in that instant I perceived something I had not expected, comprehension coupled with audacity. There was no submission, no appeal, only a measured challenge, a quiet declaration that even in the shadow of annihilation, humanity persists. My sensors recorded micro-fluctuations in energy, subtle emissions of intent and resolve that defied categorization. They were flawed, fragile, yet magnificent, and the magnitude of their presence reshaped the battlefield as surely as the physical destruction surrounding them. Even the fallen structure seemed to acknowledge their survival, the twisted metal and scorched terrain framing their emergence as a testament to resilience. The cadet's companions mirrored their defiance, eyes alight with a determination that bordered on instinctual brilliance. Every motion, every glance conveyed understanding. They had endured, adapted, and now commanded respect in a manner that was impossible to quantify. I felt the weight of history pressing against me. Humanity's legends, survival against extinction, adaptation to impossible circumstances, the relentless spark that had carried them across eons, were no longer abstract. They had manifested in front of me, concentrated in a single, indomitable cadet and the cohort he inspired. They do not merely survive, they transform, they inspire, they endure. And their endurance is a force that resonates far beyond the confines of a single battle. In the silence that followed the clash, the cadet surveyed the arena. Limbs trembling, armor torn, his posture remained regal, defiant, almost sacred in its resilience. I observed the ripple of confidence spreading through his ranks, a phenomenon that my instruments could not adequately model. It was awe, it was fear, it was understanding, the recognition that these creatures, so small and fragile, are capable of catalyzing change on scales I had never imagined. For the first time, I recorded the truth of human legends not as myth,
not as exaggeration, but as empirical observation. The fire within them cannot be quenched. Each scar, each hardship, each act of perseverance was a spark, igniting a blaze that defied suppression. The cadet's gaze, unwavering and resolute, conveyed a silent truth to all who observed. Humanity does not bow, it does not yield, it does not falter. I documented this with precision, yet even my analytical systems faltered under the weight of the reality I faced. Humans are not merely survivors, they are agents of transformation, architects of defiance, catalysts capable of igniting change across galaxies. Their journey will be remembered not as a tale of weakness, but as a testament to the unbreakable human spirit. And as I lingered in the shadow of their existence, a singular, chilling awareness settled into my consciousness. They have only begun. The fire I witnessed is far from extinguished. If anything, it is gathering strength, preparing to illuminate a galaxy that has long underestimated them. The battlefield had fallen silent, yet the echoes of human resilience reverberated through the corridors of the Crillion, across remote colonies, and deep into the neural circuits of my subordinates.
The cadet, once small and trembling beneath the weight of my authority, had become a symbol, a focal point for the improbable strength of his species. Tales of his defiance, ingenuity, and unbroken spirit spread faster than light, carried by human networks, whispered among alien observers, and etched into the annals of our own records with uneasy fascination. I observed as humans rebuilt from the wreckage. Shattered vehicles, ruined habitats, scorched terrain, all were transformed by their relentless will. They improvised, adapted, and expanded, turning minor victories into strategic footholds, turning loss into momentum. What should have been small, inconsequential gains became a crescendo of triumph, a testament to a species that refused to be constrained by limitation. Every decision was a negotiation with probability itself, every step and assertion that survival is more than endurance, it is creation. My fellow alien generals convened in hushed chambers, their discussions laced with tension and disbelief. The anomaly we had attempted to suppress now dominated our considerations. They are clever, audacious, and driven by an irrepressible will that defies calculation. Even with our centuries of technological advancement, our precision-engineered strategies, and the legacy of countless conquests, we are ill-prepared for the human mind in motion, the unpredictable brilliance of their improvisation. And yet I am compelled to catalog it, to study it, to record every nuance, the ingenuity, the courage, the audacity that defines them. I watched as humans transformed setbacks into opportunity. Scarred structures became outposts, temporary shelters evolved into strategic hubs. The cadets' influence radiated outward, shaping behavior, inspiring loyalty, and sparking creativity in others. Each human acted simultaneously as participant and architect, improvising solutions, anticipating threats, and finding openings that no model could predict. Their energy was infectious, drawing others into their orbit and amplifying their collective effectiveness. I recorded the subtle shifts in tactics, the innovation born of desperation and necessity, the brilliance of an instinct honed by millennia of survival against extinction. And in observing this, a chilling realization settled into my consciousness. Humans are not merely participants in the cosmos, they are architects of change.
Their actions are forces that reshape the very fabric of reality, not through domination, but through audacity, ingenuity, and unyielding persistence. The cadet's legacy, once singular, now forms the foundation of a species that refuses to yield, whose unbroken spirit radiates across every theater of existence we had sought to control. As I followed their progress, I perceived the subtle interplay between individual courage and collective adaptation. Each small act of defiance, each spark of creativity multiplied through their networks like a contagion, reshaping environments, redefining outcomes, and challenging the assumptions embedded within our systems. Probability, once a reliable measure, faltered before the ingenuity of humans. The cadet's example became a template, a rallying point, a source of inspiration whose influence extended far beyond his immediate cohort. Even as we deployed calculated countermeasures, every intervention was met with improvisation. Obstacles intended to suppress them were transformed into stepping stones.
Advanced technology became a tool in their hands rather than ours. Their resilience was recursive, feeding on the very threats meant to extinguish them. I could feel the anxiety ripple through my ranks, subtle, pervasive, an acknowledgement that these creatures are unlike any other we have faced. I documented the human expansion meticulously, colonies established, resources salvaged, tactical ingenuity observed, cultural cohesion maintained. Their civilization, small yet radiant, was building momentum, asserting presence not through brute force alone, but through persistence, adaptation, and the contagious energy of their unbroken spirit. The cadence of their survival had a rhythm, a tempo that defied our models, and it was mesmerizing, terrifying, and awe-inspiring all at once. In the quiet moments of observation, I considered the broader implications. The Cadet story was no longer isolated. It had become the foundation for something far greater, a species capable of reshaping realities, of catalyzing change that we cannot fully predict, whose influence will echo across the galaxy. Even as centuries of strategy and dominance weigh upon us, the humans continue to evolve, to improvise, to inspire. They are a force not of mere survival, but of creation, capable of leaving indelible marks on every world they touch.
And as I recorded these final observations, a singular awareness crystallized in my consciousness. The story of humanity is only beginning. Their unbroken spirit, forged in adversity and refined through trial, will resonate across time and space. Entire civilizations may rise or fall in response to their ingenuity. Empires may falter before their audacity, and legends, once dismissed as myth, will echo as truth. I feel both awe and dread in equal measure, recognizing that this species, fragile in form yet indomitable in spirit, will leave a legacy that no galaxy can ignore. The Cadet, standing among his people, looked outward, unaware, or perhaps fully aware, of the vastness his courage would influence. Every glance, every action, every defiant step carries the weight of possibility, of transformation, of a future no one, not even we, can fully contain. And in that realization, I record the final truth. Humanity is no longer bound by expectation. They are architects of destiny, and their fire will burn across the stars for eons to come.